certainly a pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of Councillor Carr and Councillor Taylor to behalf of my other colleagues on council and the other 7 members of council. It's a pleasure to be here to bring you greetings on their behalf. You mentioned this morning about the meeting for Gord Brown that's coming up, and that's in the Orange Building. We have 2 halls now. There's the Township Hall and then there's the Lombardy Agricultural Hall. That's the one with the orange roof on it. Is the easiest way to identify, so you don't go to the...
Is it right on 15?
Right on 15, yeah. And this is the fairgrounds actually, so that. And I do encourage you to go if you can possibly make it, because it's a very important issue for the future of the canal and where it's going to go. Both from an operational, but not only operational, from a capital standpoint. Capital investment to keep the facility up the way it should be kept. It should have been kept up over the years, so it's a very important issue. I'm just going to touch on 2 things, 2 main issues today. I'm going to talk just a couple of things on the township, and I'm going to talk a couple of things about the county. And as you know, part of your tax dollar goes to the township, part of your tax dollar goes to the county, and part of it goes to the school board. In fact, 35.7 cents goes to the township, and the balance, 25 cents goes to the county. So actually, the county gets more than the township does to look after our business, and then the balance goes to the education. First of all, the township has still maintained the objective of improving as many of our roads as we possibly can. You've seen the roads that we have improved and taken to the hardship process. We want to get to the 70%. We started off with 30% of our roads were hard surface, either paved or tar and chip. We want to get to 70 because that's the only point in time that you start to see the economy of scale of not having to do the same thing next year as you did last year. Put more gravel on, put calcium on. A few years ago we were buying about $160,000 a year calcium just to keep the dust down. Now we're buying about $85,000. So as soon as we can get to 70%, then that number will go down, and the amount of gravel we have to buy every year, and the quality of the road that you have to buy on will be improved. So that's our objective. The big problem is dollars and cents. To get to 70% from where we are today is about another $6 million, and that's a lot of dollars. In 2008, we were receiving $1 million for what they called, the province called Move Ontario, which was funding for roads, for back roads, country roads, rural roads. And also we had $500,000 from the provincial surplus, because the province was running a big surplus back then, and and so on. Of course, you know where that's at today, 0. So if we've been getting that $1.5 million every year for the last 5 years, we would be at that 70%. So we have to try and find those type of dollars. Just 2 years ago, of course, we had the stimulus funding, where we were getting per dollar we spent, we were getting 66 cents on the dollar back, even both from the federal and provincial. So needless to say, they're not there right now. That funding is not. So we have to hope that the economy improves over time, and that will allow us to get on with our road at a faster pace than what we are. However, it's still the main objective of the township, because it's the only thing that gives you a better quality road and also cuts the cost of operation long term. Second thing I want to talk about is just something that's very disturbing to council, and that is the change to the plans for Highway 15. We all know the condition of Highway 15 from Sealy's Bay leaves a lot to be desired. We were first presented with plans for that in 2002, 2003. They had public meetings, they had this, and the public was invited, many open houses about the changes. And the first plans that were presented was an ideal change. It dealt with the safety issues, turning lanes, passing lanes, intersections, the whole package. It was really ideal. And then from that point in time on, as the plans were developed to a higher degree, certain cuts started to come into the plans. 2 of the passing lanes were removed about 2 or 3 years ago, so leaving just 2 passing lanes between here and Sealy's Bay. Well, the latest news we have, which we just received about last week or 2 weeks ago, is that now all they're going to do, first of all, they went out for environmental assessment, the 60-day cycle for environmental assessment. And the only comment that came back on the environmental assessment, which was then the next step after that was to go for contract, was the Species at Risk Act by the MNR caused some problems. And basically now the province has decided just to do what we call shave and pave. So in other words, nothing is going to be changed. The passing lanes are removed. The expansion, the width is not going to be widened. The road is not going to be widened. It's just going to replace the pavement in its exact same location where it is now. It's a complete travesty, because if you go from Kingston to Carleton Place, from Sealy's Bay to Portland is the only portion of the road that hasn't been improved over the last 10, 15 years, 20 years. And that portion is as important, because a lot of people are bypassing our area here simply because it's easier for them to go down the 401 and on 416 than need this stretch of road. So if you have an opportunity to raise an objection through your MP or your MPP, the provincial parliament, believe me, the association, whatever, I strongly urge you to get the comments in. We're ready to main battle with this matter. Just be advised of this change. We're not happy with it, and we're not satisfied with it. And we'll be doing a fight on this one, please. So, enough for that. Next subject is the impact. This fall, as you recall, we're on market value assessment in Ontario. It has nothing to do with the township, but certainly through the provincial municipal property assessment corporation, known as impact. This is the start. Next year will be the start of the next 4-year term of assessments. So you'll be getting a notice probably in November as to your new assessed value for your properties, which will apply for the next 4 years going forward. And then any change is implemented at a 25% increase per year, 25% of the increase per year. That's the way it was. It has been for the last 4 years, and that's the way the province implements it, unless the assessments go down, which is always implemented the first year. Having said that, just watch your assessments. Make sure you're satisfied with them. Even though at the township and at the county, we both take it back to revenue neutral. So in other words, if our overall assessments go up 20%, say, and then we'll just use that number, I'm just picking it out of the air, we take our tax rate down by 20%, then we build our tax rate, then we build our budget from there. So we don't capitalize at the township and or the county on the increased market value assessment. We take it back to revenue neutral. That's why our tax rate today is down in the 900s. And a few years ago it was up around 1,200 per 100,000. So while you may see a big change or some change in your assessments, it doesn't necessarily mean that you pay more taxes simply because we take it back to revenue neutral on the market value. Very complicated subject, and I know I'm reading it very quickly. You just watch for that. Fourth item is Parks Canada operation. You mentioned that very serious situation. We're very concerned about it. The shoulder seasons are obviously the problem. It's causing some concern for Parks Canada. 1.15% of the volume of vessel traffic is in October. So you can see where they have a problem with staffing, and that's based on the numbers that they're getting. So we're having meetings. There's a meeting we talked about water and with the Gord Brown to the public, and then we're having a meeting with the mayors prior to that, and we'll be having several meetings already. One was yesterday. They're trying to get our heads together as to what we can convince the federal government to do and not implement significant changes. Because there's the two issues I addressed in a minute ago. I'm very concerned about. There's the capital and the operating. And right now, they're not telling us what the cuts are going to be. If anything, they should be improving, putting more money into the capital repairs. That's what the canal needs. I mean, if you're going to promote this thing throughout the world, why don't you better make sure it's kept first class? And it's not happening at this point in time. So we'll be putting a lot of pressure on them to get numbers. They're saying they don't have the numbers right now. They don't know where they're going with it. Anyways, I can assure you it's number one interest in my opinion. I'm going to change subjects now to the county, just for as I said, 40.5 cents every dollar in taxes you pay to the county. We have a number of challenges there. I'm not going to harp on them for a long time, but I am going to point out roads are a big issue with the county. If you can imagine, we have 85 bridges in the county. This is not United Counties of Leeds and Government. It involves 10 municipalities, of which Rideau Lakes is about 25% of the land mass, 20% of the budget, 25% of the land mass. But there's 85 bridges on the county roads, along with 34 cement structures, which are really considered bridges as well. So you can well imagine the cost of maintaining this as you go forward. Their average life is about 50 years right now, and you get an average life, total life of about 70 years. So we're getting up in the age factor in some of these infrastructures. One thing that will involve you people, many of your residents, I'm sure drive the Chaffey's Lock Road, and I'll stick their neck out on this one. But the plan was here at the county for the Chaffey's Lock Road was to spend $400,000 on it this year to resurface it. I really wasn't comfortable with that. We put forward quite a presentation to the county to say, look, the road, the way it heaves, and if you were here in the winter time, you'd see the way it heaved last year, particularly because of the way the frost tapers are not adequate, that they had to spend more to do a proper job on it. So the plan right now is about $1,200,000 job to fix this road up. The original thought was to do a third this year and 2/3 next year. And the way it's going right at this point in time, and the way I expected it will be carried out, was that the shoulder work and the preparation work will be happening this fall after the cottage season is finished. The pavement will stay the way it is till next year, and then next year all the pavement will be done at the same time. So it'll be completed from start to finish. So now, I know it's
I'm
Councilor
holding her
Carr.
hand because she's
Was that Councilor Carr?
well, I travel this road too, and I'm just going,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Well, rather than having the surface disrupted, I mean, Les Trevor is the engineer for it, and I happen to be the chair of the Public Works Department of the county. And I said, rather than having to drive through construction for 2 years, it's better to do it all in one time. So at this point in time, the pavement will stay the way it is till next year, but then it'll all be completed. They will be doing the ditching, the new colors, and wherever necessary, widening it out slightly, and so on. So it'll be a major construction. You can expect major construction next year.
Yeah, the surface, I don't think such a problem is that 60 kilometers an hour is.
You won't go 60 when it gets bad, dirty.
You know, the problem will be once they improve it,
What?
it'll be because now how do we slow the traffic down?
Yeah.
Every road we improve,
Yeah,
phone calls start within 2 weeks after we improve the road. How do you slow the traffic down?
probably you're right on
The
that.
best road for traffic control is a rough pothole road. That's the best control. That's the best speed control you can have.
Oh, never heard that yet.
Nobody likes it, but that's. Anyway, just one other thing I wanted to mention regarding the county. It's something that you don't think of, but it's about a $6 million cost for the county. As you know, fire communications are very important, particularly at this point in time, this year especially, with the dry period. But we've had to go from analog to digital in order to change the signal. The analog wavelength is being taken away from us, and we have to convert over to digital. And that has to happen by the end of 2013. It'll happen the third quarter of 2013 to be completed. So all the equipment's being changed, all the towers and so on, as well as the receiving equipment by the municipalities. In our case, it relates to about $400,000, $417,000 job just to change our receivers and our telephones and our two-way communications the firemen use on the trucks. So that's a big thing, but it will be state of the art. It'll take us into the next century, I hope. So, but just something you don't think of. It doesn't. It's not going to. You won't see anything any different. But it's about a $6 million expenditure. So that's the type of things we're faced with at the county. I do want to just mention one thing. The fire ban is on now. It's very serious. We're in a very critical situation. If you were over in Westport just last week, there's somebody was baling hay, and there's what happened. Just right in the village. You can see the house right back. Took off just while they were baling. And it wasn't spontaneous combustion, probably a mirror or something, and it caught on fire. Bales just as they were doing it. Almost got away. Last night we had one on the Tower Road that just about got away. If you're following the news, the city of Ottawa had one that started out at 10 acres and just out off Florida. I forget where it was, but it was out in the west end of Ottawa. And they had to bring the helicopter bombers in to try to put it out. It's a stretch of 100 acres and they had to put bulldozers in and create roads. Very dangerous time right now. And the forecast is it's going to get worse. And we're going to go into some areas are going to be number 2. Drought warning. I expect it to be that and probably number 3 before it's over. That's all I have to say. I did bring some extra calendars. If you haven't got a township calendar, I'd like to put some on the back there. Please, they're handy to tell you what's going on in the township as well as our election days and so on. And they're always available at the township, but I did leave some back there for you.